What's up, boxing fans? It's your boy Rick Muhammad, Brawler Sports Media in the building, and my sidekick, my main man, G Money, my son. Hey, y'all know why we're here. It's the Brawler Sports Media boxing show, and we're doing the recap from last weekend's extravaganza in Las Vegas, if you will, at T-Mobile Arena this past Saturday night, 21st of August. Man, what a week! And I hope you all enjoyed it. Right beside me on your mobile devices, on your television sets, wherever you was at, while my content was coming in, and you guys viewed the weigh-ins and so forth, and interviews and things of that nature. I was glad to have you with me, and I surely didn't feel alone with all of you guys right there on my hip. So let's just start it off and recap Saturday night T-Mobile Arena. Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao versus your Dennis Ugas, and then Manny Pac-Man's protege, if you will, John, what's his name now? Mark Maestego, Masayo. Yeah, Masayo. That was a hell of a fight. He actually stopped this guy. He fought John Seha. He knocked John Seha out in the 10th round, but John Seha and Manny's kid was going back and forth. This was a very, very entertaining fight, G. It was a slugfest, and Maestego got knocked on his butt. He got put down, and so I mean, man, after that it was downhill for Seha because he started putting his punches together real nice, and that's what did it for him. But he's the future of the Philippines, and that's what Manny Pacquiao is doing now on the MP promotion. Manny Pacquiao Promotions. He's putting this guy on, and he's doing his thing. He's bringing and uplifting a lot of Filipino fighters like himself. There's poverty stricken. They don't have the opportunities over there. So he's got his manager and his sidekick, Sean Gibbons, who's one of the good guys left in the sport of boxing. He's like the ambassador of Manny Pacquiao Promotions now, and he scouts and signs talent of Filipino fighters to the MP promotion label, banner, if you will, and bring them to the U.S. and train with Freddie Roach out there in Hollywood, California. So he had an outstanding night. Kudos to him. Much respect. Congratulations on a great win. Moving right along, the co-main event, I didn't think it was the most worthiest co-main event with Robert the Ghost Guerrero from Gilroy, California, and he fought Victor Ortiz. Everybody remembers Ortiz from the intentional headbutt on Floyd, and Floyd was talking to him and just knocked him out cold in the middle of the ring. So that turned out to be entertaining after all, but it was just so many more other fighters, quality fighters, up and coming, right where they need to be for a title shot that I felt could have filled that slot just as well, with the budget still being there because Spence didn't fight, which freed up a whole lot more money. So I felt like they should have came with a better co-main event. That being said, Robert Guerrero pulled out the unanimous decision. I felt he landed the cleaner shots, better power shots over Victor Ortiz. Victor Ortiz had some success and some good fortune in that fight as well, but I just feel like he didn't do enough to sway the judges, and Guerrero did, and he got the victory. Which, and Victor Ortiz was kind of salty about it. He showed good sportsmanship, but you see on his face after he spoke to the ring announcers and the media, he didn't want to get out the damn ring. Like, you think they're going to reverse it? So he got out the ring, but he had the salty face. But it turned out to be a decent co-main event. And to put the icing on the cake, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, 42 years old, fought your Dennis Ugas, who took this fight with a 10-day notice. They both did. Manny changed opponents in 10 days because Earl Spence had the torn retina. Your Dennis Ugas, his opponent he was fighting wasn't even worthy of a title shot. And so this was a big step up for Ugas to say, yeah, I'll take this fight. You fight a legend like Manny Pacquiao. And it was a hell of a fight. Although I do feel like Manny Pacquiao needs to retire. He's getting ready to run for president in his country in the Philippines in May. And, he was a couple of steps off, and his timing was off. Even though he put in some good work, like he always does, that lunging and running in, that shit's got to stop. I just really felt like Dennis was going to time him and clock him like Manuel Marquez knocked him out. And I was like, Manny, be careful. You treading in dangerous waters doing that, letting your feet leave the ground thing like he likes to do. But he cut Ugas's right eye, and he almost closed his left eye. So They both came to the post press conference looking like Stevie Wonder's brother with glasses on, cocked sideways. You know, hell of a fight. Hell of a fight. You can't take nothing away from Manny. I feel like he's done everything he could. I thank him for everything he's done for the sport of boxing, everything he's contributed, everything boxing's done for him and his family. Whatever his decision is, I wish him well. I'm sure everyone else wishes him well. God bless him and his family. The Brawlers Sports Media, Manny Pacquiao, we salute you, baby. Thank you for all the wonder years that you've given us in the sport of boxing. Giovanni, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, just want to salute Pacquiao. I think if he were to retire right now, he'd go down as top 10 all time. In my opinion, I think he's top 10 all time.
No doubt. He might be higher than that.
Yeah, he could be. I mean, but I'm saying guaranteed top 10 for me. Yeah, I don't know where he ranks in the top 10 for me, but I just know he's in the top 10. You know what he's accomplished, 8 division champion. That's insane. All the weight classes he's jumped and conquered. You know, Manny Pacquiao's had a great career. However, I think I was one of the few people who actually thought Ugas was a bad stylistic matchup for him, and I actually picked Ugas to win before the fight happened, as you know. And you know, kind of shook up the welterweight division now that he lost. You know,
right?
So I'm looking forward to seeing how everything unfolds moving forward. Who fights Ugas next? You know, are we going to get an undisputed champion at a welterweight? Remains to be seen, but that's what needs to happen. You know, and right. I want to touch on another thing with Manny. I would like him to retire. One thing I don't really care for when it comes to Manny is when he loses, he appears to always have an excuse as to why he lost. You know, when he lost to Floyd, it was his shoulder. And now when he loses to Ugas, it's his legs. And, you know, it's just, you know, I would like him to just take his losses, you know, just as he takes his wins. That's what I would like.
The better man won tonight and let it be that. There's no need to make excuses when people have watched it.
When you watch the fight, you know, it's the style and it's the game plan. And Ugas, he took away a lot of things Manny likes to do. And he just, you know, he appeared to have the better skills, better game plan. And Ugas was the better man that night, period. There's nothing else to it.
Exactly what he had to do. And what he did was brilliant because he sat in the pocket. He didn't move nothing. All he did was walk Manny down and cut the ring off. He sat right in the pocket and sat down on his punches. And he was intentionally making sure every punch he threw was the punch to hurt. Even from his jabs. And every time he would catch Manny with a power shot, Manny would literally be lifted up off the canvas and blowed to the side like a strong wind hit him, man. And his wife, Jinky Pacquiao, was in the audience like this, you know, shaking her head in disbelief because she felt like the end is near. And my husband is, you know, this got to be it for him because I feel like he's risking way more than getting a W here. You have a life and a family to come home to and a country to run. It's time to throw in the towel and let's walk away while you're still in good health.
But much respect to Manny, though, because one thing I can say, he's 42, 43 years old, and he's willing to fight the best. You know, he signed up to fight Errol Spence. So that speaks volume to the kind of fighter and the heart he has. You know, so like I said, I salute Manny. And in my eyes, you're top 10 all time.
Absolutely.
And like you said, it's where you put him. Hey, some people might have him top 5, top 3. It's all your choice. But for me, I got him top 10, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. It was a great week, great weekend. Manny made a statement. You know, I felt like, you know, he agreed to fight top champ in Ugas. He agreed to top one of the best in the world in Spence. Can't take nothing from this man. There's definitely no P in Punk for him. Period.
No. And like I want to say too, I'm actually glad he didn't fight Spence because I think that would have been a bad exit for him. Stylistically, I think he probably would have got stopped if he fought Errol.
Yeah, facts. And so you know, and then now moving right along, since Manny Pacquiao loses, Errol Spencer's probably going down because I did talk to Derek James, by the way, Errol Spencer's trainer, who also trains his Charlo brother. And I asked him, you know, how was the champ doing? And he said, you know, he's as good as it could be expected. He's disappointed. He was sad that this fight didn't happen because it was by far the biggest challenge of his life and the biggest payday of his life, and that he was just recuperating and recovering and just resting. Moving forward, be interesting to see what's next for Earl Spence, but he carries the torch and he really commands the 147-pound division. So whatever he decides to do, it'll be in his best interest, and he will control that weight division like monopoly. That being said, where does this leave Ugas now? Because only name came out of Ugas' mouth in the post-press conference that I shared with everyone. Y'all heard what he said. Earl Spence Jr. is who he wants next. Bud Crawford's name was not mentioned at all whatsoever throughout the night of that entire press conference when it was his turn to speak and answer questions. Where does this leave Bud Crawford now? Because, oh my God, you got Sean Porter as his mandatory with the WBO. Sean Porter was live on the Fox stage because he's commentating prior to Manny and them hitting the scale. And he was live talking with the other analysts, if you will, for Fox. And he just said, I look forward to fighting at the end of the year, hopefully by December, and close the year out. He didn't say nothing about this mandatory that's supposedly already in the books with him and Bud, other than signing the contracts and the purse bid hasn't. They haven't negotiated and agreed to terms as teams. If that does not happen, the WBO has ordered them that this will go to purse bid. If Bud is saying he don't want to fight, then he's going to get stripped. You can't say that when you've been selected a mandatory. Where does this leave Bud now with the winnings of Ugas, Spence, Porter? And look, if Manny wants to keep fighting, Manny can say, hey, Ugas can say, hey, I'm sure that was his biggest payday, period. Whoever he was going to fight, he wasn't going to make that kind of money. He could come back and say, hey, Manny, you're a legend. I'll give you a rematch. That's another fat check in the bank. That's smart of him to do, too. Where does this leave Bud, man? Because Bud is withering away. He is literally withering away and talking this nonsense about moving to 168 and fighting Canelo and grabbing that one big bag of cash and then exit boxing. Talk on all that, G, because that 147-pound weight division, it leaves Bud out in the cold.
Yeah, so I don't even look into when Bud said 168. I know he was joking. He didn't mean that. I don't think.
What if he's not?
If he's not, then that's a bad idea. I wouldn't advise that, but I think what Bud is trying to say, he's trying to be funny and like troll, basically saying, well, if I can't get no big fights at 147 and none of these guys will fight me at 47, then I'm gonna just do the impossible and jump up 3 weight classes.
Weight classes from 47 to 60. He didn't say 54, 60.
Yeah, so that's why I think he's being sarcastic with the fans and the world, basically saying, there's nothing I can do to get these guys to fight me. See, Bud's in a bad situation, being that term they use, the other side of the street. I don't like that term, but that's what they use, being that he's not a PBC fighter. And all the welterweights are with PBC, literally. Literally every welterweight is with PBC. So and the history with Bob Arum and PBC. It's almost non-existent. They don't like each other. They do not like doing business. And I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised that Fury Wilder got made. You know what I mean? But that leaves Bud in a bad situation, like you said. But the good thing now is him fighting Sean Porter. That's a mandatory now. That was ordered by the WBO. So when it becomes a purse bid, so basically what they're saying with a purse bid, what that means basically is, okay, Top Rank and PBC. If you guys don't get it done, somebody will. Basically, That's what that means.
And that's how Triller comes in and steals the show.
Right. No, that's
exactly. Eddie Hearns. Triller took Eddie Hearns out, and it's his guy fighting.
No, listen. So that exactly. So Triller or DAZN or any other, that's what a purse bid is. Whoever bids highest to promote the fight wins. So with that being said,
he's a Bob Arum fighter. Triller took that fight.
So what do we want from Bud? He's in a position now like the fight has to happen. And by you making that comment of what Sean Porter says, that's not on Bud. That sounds to me like Sean Porter's not trying to fight Bud. Talking about, I'm trying to fight and, I'm looking forward to fighting in December one last time. Well, how do you know when the fight's going to be? The purse bid hasn't started yet.
Well, that's a good point. And now I would probably take that and think outside of the box when I hear those type of words and the way he put it into content is well, let's see. Maybe he's hearing something back from the Bud side of things, and the negotiations doesn't sound promising from both teams. And who knows when a purse bid is going to hit? They got 30 days to make this happen, and then the purse bid comes to play.
No. I think the purse bid is done. Is going to happen now. That 30 days expired, I believe.
30 days has expired. Okay, and what that means is for fans and that don't understand purse bidding, all you guys understand is that I can't wait to see that fight. It's going to be a doggy dog slugfest knockout fight. The business side of boxing, when there is a purse bid, that means anybody is welcome and open to make a bid. Like if I was Bill Gates, I just want to get in boxing and say, you know what? That's an intriguing fight. I've got 20 million. 60-40 split is how it should go, but it won't. It'll be probably more like 70-30 because Porter brings nothing to the table. He's just a mandatory. So let's say 20 million, Bud gets 70% of that. You know, that's 14 million to Bud, 40%, 6 million. 30% of that be 6 million to Porter. Just an example. Don't go spreading gossip. That's just an example of how a purse bid goes. But then Triller comes in and say, "Oh, Bill Gates put 20 million on the table. Yeah, we got 30." Now Bud's gonna get 70%, 21 million of that, or 18 if he gets 60, and 40%, or 30% of that will be 9 million to Porter, or 6 million. It depends. But that's how the purse bidding goes. Here's the thing, though. They both have stood to make better money had Bob and Al Heyman came together, or would the purse bid pay them more? Maybe they're better off gambling and seeing who this fight is really enticing that has deep pockets.
I think
which is with Trilla and Teofimo fighting Kambasa coming up in October. Hell, they offered him 4 million Trilla. And Bob was only giving him like 1.2, 1.5 million for that fight. So it's a no-brainer. Hell, I'm gonna make an extra almost 3 million plus, almost an extra $3 million. So that's where we are with Bud. If Bud don't fight, he will be stripped. I don't see that happening.
Man, Bud is not. He's not getting stripped. He's not ducking Porter in any kind of way. I don't think.
There's no reason to.
I think Bud is literally like he can't wait to get his hands on Porter. Because this is what he's waiting for. Everybody thinks Porter's a threat. Everybody's like, this is Bud's first real test, not only at welterweight, but in his career. That's what people are saying. So Bud hears that, and he knows that's what the world thinks. So I think Bud is just patiently waiting, and I think you guys are going to see something you've never seen before when he fights Sean Porter. I'm going to leave it at that. You're going to see something happen to Sean Porter that we've never seen happen. That's what I think.
Well, when I hear you and I know you, I hear you speaking an embarrassing moment in the moment of this fight on that night for Porter.
Man, I think it's gonna get real bad in there, and I like Sean Porter. He's a tough fighter.
He comes thankfully.
Every fight Sean Porter's in is a great fight. Actually, like Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter was one of the best fights I've seen. Errol Spence versus Sean was a good fight. Yeah. See, Bud is so different, man. He's got so much tools and so much skills, and he can literally do everything. Bud can fight on the inside. He can outbox you. He can switch. He's got power in both hands. He's got a high IQ. And I think the way Sean Porter fights, I think he's going to run into something big. And not only that, I think he's going to be getting outboxed completely the whole time until he does run into a big shot. Because we know Bud likes to bang and sit there and trade. And I think he's going to do that and get him out of there. But I think Sean Porter is going to run into something big, and I think Bud's going to stop him. That's what I think.
And if he is sincere about skipping to 3 weight classes to go into 168, because he's already said, he's made a statement there, I don't mind if I retire now and never fight Bud and never fight Spence either, or Pacquiao, and I'm okay with that. With what
he should be. In my opinion, a lot of people disagree with that. Like, he doesn't have yeah, he does. It's not his fault that, 140 wasn't the stiffest of competition. This man is undisputed at 140, a champion at 135, a champion at 147. Nobody was saying that about at 147, saying Bud ain't fought nobody. when he goes and beats Jeff Horn in his first fight at 147, the guy that just beat Manny Pacquiao. But Manny Pacquiao goes and beats Keith Thurman, and he's the best thing ever. He's back. But when Bud beat the guy that beat Pacquiao, then he hasn't fought nobody at 47. So Bud, if he retired today, he's Hall of Fame in my book. You know, that's just me.
And Keith one-time Thurman, like he said in the press conference, we videoed him as well live, and he said, "Hey, when I see a contract, I gotta fight." You know, and as far as the Tank comment and with Leonard Ellaby and him, he said he'd been here for a nanosecond, a nanosecond, or whatever. You know, hey, he made a statement. He's like, you know, it wasn't really Tank saying these things; it was Leonard.
But let's touch on that real quick, just not to get off topic. But okay, the talk of Gervonta Davis fighting Keith Thurman. I'm like, come on, man. Like, stop
with these fights.
Stop. Let's just stop. Don't even talk like that. You know, like just stop. Do they know what Thurman will do? Like they better stop disrespecting Keith and put some respect on his name. That's a bad dude. People forget.
And that's
hey, listen. Keith Thurman was the #1 welterweight at a time.
Yep.
You know, before that shoulder injury, what was it? I think his downfall was after Danny, right?
Yeah.
That's when the injuries came. But people better remember, Keith Thurman was the guy.
He's still a force to be reckoned with and a threat.
He is.
He's not on the six either. He said he's right there where he needs to be. It's just a matter, like he said, everybody BSing and don't nobody
with Arrow.
Give him a contract.
Hey, I'll put it to you like this: if Keith Thurman were to fight Ugas next, he'll win.
Y'all heard him. He said
he'll get that belt right back. Keith Thurman will beat your Dennis Ugas right now. Probably stop him.
Even though he hasn't fought since Manny, so it's been 2 years for him too, right?
True, but hey, I'm just saying. I think Keith will stop. He could stop Dennis, but I think he'll beat him.
Okay, all right.
It's like people are very, very forgetful in boxing. I don't understand it.
I think Bud is ready to exit, and I think Bud might be sincere, but maybe somewhat delusional to go up to 168. Skill set wise, he probably got Canelo, but let's not forget, and he'll get fair market value because Daniel Jacobs set the fair market value rate at $12 million, and he brought nothing to the table for that fight, and Eddie Hearns paid him well. So Bud already knows I can go up to 68 and we'll get that fight done, and I'll start at 15, and if they want to meet me in between and come up with a $12.5, $13.5 million payday, let's go, champ. He'll do it, take that bag and run. But they're gonna give him fair market value because everybody knows, unless you don't know boxing and your handlers and managers don't know boxing, and they underbid you and sell you cheap. Shame on them. But yeah, he could possibly get that fight. But here's the thing: let's not forget. You know, I mean, the power that Canelo packs. But does Bud mix up in that fight, or do he box and stay up off of it?
Listen, I love Bud as a fighter, man. Like I said, Bud's in my top 5 all time for me. But him going to 168 and fighting Canelo, is insane to me. He has great skills, but how is he going to stand his punch? How can he take Canelo's punch? Because Canelo will hit him clean. Because Canelo's an elite fighter himself. I just don't see how Bud's going to handle that power. So I don't know, but I agree with you. I think Bud's got the skills, but you know, there's weight classes for a reason, and I mean, jumping 3 weight classes.
Because who was it? Edegis Kavalauskas clocked him. That's because he fell asleep in that fight. He didn't get up for that fight, but he got rocked.
Yeah.
If Canelo kept clean and rock him like that, it ain't gonna be no recuperating time.
And Bud's been hurt before. I mean, Gamboa hurt him at 135. And that's no knock on Bud. I mean, that's boxing. You know, you might get hurt in a fight. But
always what you don't see, it hurts.
But if we're talking about Gamboa clipping you a little bit, and that's at 35, and you're talking about going up 30 pounds to fight the best fighter in the world, arguably, devastating power. I mean, come on. You know?
Okay. So we getting out of here on the 147 now. What's next on our curricular G Money that you got us doing? What are we jumping to now?
Let's get right into the big November 6th showdown. Canelo Alvarez himself.
We got to talk about we still got Wilder. We still got Teofimo. That fight's coming up soon, and then we got Wilder, Fury, and the 9th of October. What are you still thinking on Wilder? I feel like Wilder's coming for some vengeful payback, and I say he stops. I think he's going to stop Fury in an ugly fashion.
Here's my thing with that. I keep going back and forth. Like I said, I'm rocking with Wilder. I want him to win 100%, and I'm 100% behind Wilder. But then when I think about it, I'm like, the first two fights, Wilder, he was talking the same way and was riled up, and he really wanted to put Fury away. So I'm just thinking in this third fight, if the same Fury comes as the second fight, I just don't know what the difference will be.
What Wilder's going to do different. Well, the things that he's supposedly working on, you don't know if those things are going to work.
Right, and you would hope they would, but it's hard to change like that in such a short
after
period
so many
of time.
years. Right, you're not going to just like change your whole regimen up from how you boxed for the last 10, 15 years.
His whole career, he has that devastating right hand.
And
is that just going to vanish, and he's just going to go to just boxing skills and left hooks to the body, left hooks to the head, measuring with the jab, just boxing? I just think at some point he's going to go back to trying to get Fury out of there with that devastating right hand that he has, which is devastating. But I just worry that it might play out the same way, being that the first two fights are basically the same, So I really hope that, Wilder gets the KO and he does it in great fashion. But I'm just, I kind of worry that it could play out the same way,
Okay, moving right along. Now let's jump into November 6th. Caleb Plant versus Canelo. That's been set. That fight is going to be where's that fight going to be held at?
It's in Vegas. I'm not sure which venue, but it's in Las Vegas.
Oh, they're probably gonna be back at the T-Mobile Arena.
T-Mobile.
Yeah, that is a T-Mobile. That's right. Plant was at the fight the other night when Manny Pacquiao fought, and that fight has been set for November 6th.
Who you rocking with?
I'm gonna go with Canelo. Plant can pop, but Plant doesn't have the power that he's gonna need to stop him. And here's the thing, and I'm gonna say this: everybody saw Floyd Mayweather destroy Canelo at 47 when they fought, or did they fight at 54? I forget.
They fought at 53 catchweight.
And because of the popularity of Canelo, Floyd got a damn majority decision. And he hands down put on a boxing clinic, and Canelo ate leather all night.
Yeah.
You think Caleb Plant gonna come in here on the 6th and do what against Canelo unless he knocks him out?
He's not gonna knock him out.
That's the blueprint and an example that I'm showing here.
Okay, I get what you're saying. So you're saying politics-wise,
he got to stop Canelo.
So, but are you saying, do you think Canelo's going to win based off of politics, or you think Canelo's going to win based off of Canelo going to just go in there and do his thing versus Caleb?
I think Canelo's going to go in there and do his thing against Caleb, but if for some reason this fight is close, what I'm saying, if this fight is close, they're going to take Caleb down.
Well, I'm going on record and I'm rocking with Caleb 100%. I think
he better not go looking for a knockout. He will get knocked out.
No, he's not. He's definitely not going to look for a knockout. He's going to outbox Canelo, and I think he's going to do it.
And I don't know. I think the ring from you really good too. He knows how to cut the ring off really well, so he can take that boxing ability away and force it into a fight.
Aside from Triple G, who has Canelo fought that's better than Caleb Plant skill wise? And actually, Triple G doesn't have better skills than Caleb Plant.
Floyd.
Okay, no, but I'm saying since Floyd
right now, currently, okay.
No, so since Floyd and Lara, and
Lara was touching him up with boxing.
Yeah, right. Obviously,
so was Austin Trout.
But Austin Trout can't fuck with Canelo or Caleb Plant.
Right, but Trout was boxing. Canelo has problems with boxers as well.
Right. So my point is, take out the Floyd Lara fight. Who has Canelo fought that's, and of course he's fought legends, but they were like maybe past their prime. He fought Cotto, but in their prime, Caleb Plant's the best since Triple G. Taking aside Lara and
Right, but
and
check
Floyd.
this out. Who the hell has Caleb Plant fought?
Well, in my opinion, when he fought Jose Uzcategui at that time, he was a killer.
Yeah,
Now he's
and
no
Lionel
Canelo.
Thompson destroyed him, knocked him on his
Yes.
ass, and won this unanimous decision. Nobody saw that coming because nobody pays attention to boxing, and nobody understands the skill set and punching power that Lionel Thompson, Lonnie B, possesses. And he made that damn fight look easy and beat him basically with a jab all night long.
No, he did.
I know,
But I'm saying
video.
at the time, Jose was a killer. He was. So I'm saying there's that one fighter. But listen, I think Caleb Plant will rise to the occasion. I'm not saying it's going to be easy because Canelo is a great fighter, all-time great. But I think stylistically, that's a bad matchup for Canelo. I think. Because Caleb Plant, he possesses things that aren't good for Canelo.
He's 21-0 with 12 knockouts. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's just go through the list. Caleb Truex. Really? Caleb Truex. Mike Lee. Yukatazui. That's the only worthy name. Raglio Medina Luna. Andrew Hernandez.
Tough fighter.
Carlos Galvin. You know what I mean? I'm looking at his resume. I'm like, they know what they're doing with this dude, man. Shit. Let's keep it 100. He ain't fought nobody. His resume is like lacking thereof. And when you're the world champ, when you wear that strap, that says you're the best in the world. If I got to fight you worldwide in another country or bring another country's champion in, or I go there, I'm the best in the world because I wear this belt. And why doesn't your resume say that you're fighting the best in the world? He's gonna fight the best in the world on November 6th.
That's my point. That's what I was just about to say. Well, that's what he's doing. He's going above and beyond. He's going for undisputed.
Why? So, there's other 168s out there he could have fought, right? I mean, before Canelo, there was worthy.
But that goes to show his
out of the 21 wins. Caleb Truex was a fucking Christmas present. Excuse my French.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, he's got all the attributes to give Canelo a lot of problems. Caleb Plant's footwork is very good.
Attributes look good against previous oppositions. The reason why you got 21 wins and 12 knockouts. They do not look good against the likes of the Elite Force fighters that he has not faced yet until he gets in there with Canelo.
I'll be surprised if Canelo destroys him. I'll put it like that. I'll be surprised if Canelo walks through Caleb Plant and just destroys him because Caleb Plant's got skills to not let that happen. So I will be surprised. And then I'll be like, hey, I was completely wrong. I got that one wrong. But I don't see that happening. Just like Manny Pacquiao versus Ugas. Nobody, and I mean, I didn't see one person say Ugas was going to win.
But he didn't walk through Manny. Manny's old at 42 years old, and he's missing a beat in his timing and in his footwork. But he put something on Ugas's, behind. Cut his right out.
I'm not saying walk through, but nobody picked Ugas to win. They thought Manny was going to win. Everybody said Manny was going to stop Ugas or he was going to walk right through him. It wouldn't go 8 rounds. Nobody gave Ugas a chance to win. And that's the same thing with Caleb Plant and Canelo. I haven't seen one person.
I rock with Manny. I rock with Manny because I was there and I saw the injured bicep on Ugas's left arm. I'm like, shit, all Manny got to do is target that and punch on that arm. And Ugas try to throw nice hard jabs all night. That arm ain't going to be no good. Just like Devin Alexander at the end, his arm was totally damaged. Emergency surgery. And I'm like, I think Manny might have the edge just based off of that. But, Ugas held his own, man, and he went in there somewhat injured. And that question got asked to him at the post-press conference. And he was like, hey, we're champs. We fight through these things. Like Michael Jordan played in the finals with 102-degree fever with the flu and still did his thing until they walked off the court victorious. And Pippen had to carry it off. That's what champions and legends do. And I feel like Ugas definitely was a name, but he really made himself become more of a household name off of this resume, beat Manny Pacquiao and the way he won.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He's on top of the.
They know who the hell he is now. If they didn't want to rock with him before, I bet they rocked with him on his next fight and bet the bank.
Depending on who it is, I guess.
Right. So that's where we're at for the end of the year. It's still going to be interesting to see how the purse bid. Let's just revamp real quick how the purse bid is going to pan out with Showtime Sean Porter versus Terrence Bud Crawford. That's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see what date they make this fight for. I'm going to say this fight is going to be set for October sometime. Probably after Wilder and Fury fight. Like mid-October, but before Halloween.
I say before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah, around after Canelo Caleb Plant, probably 2 weeks after that.
It just depends on the WBO. They probably like, hey, because this fight came about before, and I don't know how it didn't happen when they announced that he was the mandatory months and months and months ago, and now we're right back at the square root one where it's circled back. He's still the mandatory. Here it is. Yeah. Get y'all together, or we're going to purse bid. That's going to be interesting. Teofimo, he's about to do his thing. Let's touch real quick on Teofimo before we get out of here. How does he fare up against Kambosos?
He knocks him out within 5 rounds.
Teofimo by knockout. Okay, I know a fight we need to touch on real quick. Herring versus Shakur Stevenson. Yeah. That's going to be in Atlanta, State Farm Arena. That's going to be a hell of a fight. I'm rocking with Shakur. No disrespect. I like Herring and what he brings to the table. I just think Shakur is a little bit too much for him.
Oh, man. That's a great fight. I'm looking forward to it. Jamel Herring's got a lot of skills, man. I think he's really underrated. I do. But Shakur Stevenson is the most skilled fighter in boxing, one of them, if not the most skilled fighter in boxing. And, he's going to get a unanimous decision versus Jamel Herring. And he's going to shine, and hopefully that sets up Shakur versus Oscar Valdez.
Or maybe what's my man name? Lomachenko or somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Oscar Valdez, Lomo, maybe Tank. I don't know.
I think Oscar Valdez is the realistic fight, being that they're both with top rank, and then that'll be a unification fight at the same weight. So it's easy to make.
They want to hold on to both of those belts and say, hey, these are my guys. Let's get you guys somebody else. Let's make another big fight somewhere else,
But then he still has both belts. If they fight each other, they're still in-house.
This is true. Real quick, and then we're going to wrap up. With all these fights, we got big fights, except for the Spence fight that fell out. That was our biggest hopeful fight. I think that's like an appetite for that delicacy meal and dish that you love to eat, that everybody wanted to see was Pac versus Spence. That didn't happen. Moving forward, what would be the next big, superstar fight for the fans? And it doesn't matter what weight class.
Well, for me, that's Spence and Crawford, but I don't even like talking about it no more, honestly. So for me, it would be Spence and it would be that fight, but put that fight aside. That for me, that's number one, but I don't think that's going to happen no time soon. So I think a fight for me that would just be an unbelievable fight for the fans would be Teofimo Lopez versus Tank. For me, that's the big fight that's going to live.
That would be a good fight.
I think that fight would live up to the hype.
That is a good ass fight. I mean, because that's what everybody had been talking about anyway, and it kind of just went swept under the carpet, and it didn't come back to surface anymore. I would like to see your Dennis Ugas give Keith One-Time Thurman that shot. That would probably be the next big fight at 147. Since we're going to be out, Spence is going to be out clearly until next year for recovery. Yeah. And he'll get a tune-up. We won't see Spence until probably next spring. Maybe around May.
So that's a good fight.
Your Dennis Ugas for me versus Keith One-Time Thurman. Let's go, champ. That's what I want to see. Anything else you want to close on and speak on real quick, G, before we
yeah. No, I just want to know who do you have if that fight gets materialized? If that fight gets made, who are you picking?
Keith and Ugas.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I kind of feel like it's Ugas' time. I kind of feel like it's Ugas' time.
I mean, you made a good.
Active. Thurman's not active. Thurman still got the skill set to give him problems and to still pull out a W. But I probably would roll with Ugas because I like what I saw versus Pacquiao. And a lot of people would have
made a good point about. Go ahead.
I made a good point about what?
No, you made a good point about Thurman's 2-year layoff if he were to fight Ugas. I didn't really think of it like that. So that could cause him some problems. So, I think it would be good if Thurman could maybe get a tune-up fight before the end of this year, and then maybe him and Ugas could fight first thing next year, maybe in late February, early March.
March, yeah, that's what I say. That would be a good fight. That would be the smart thing for Thurman to do to see where he's at and shake that ring rust off. Look very, very sharp and impressive. Get a stoppage
and get his belt
and wow everybody to sell it. Mm-hmm. I should fight Ugas. Then the next fight with him and Ugas, it could turn into a really big to-do superstar set fight.
Yeah,
in my opinion. That's it. Yep. You got anything else, brother?
No. This Sunday we got Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley.
Yeah. Who you liking that?
A lot of boxing fans may.
The YouTube.
I got Jake Paul by knockout. Yeah, I got Jake Paul by KO. I actually like Jake. Unpopular opinion. Nobody really rocks with Jake, but I actually like the guy. So I'm going with him by KO. Early, within 4 rounds, I got Jake by knockout.
Okay, y'all heard it from my man G Money. We're gonna get on out of here now, boxing fans. I hope you guys enjoyed this recap that we just did for this past weekend. Manny Pacquiao versus Dennis Ugas. We touched on the Porter Bud Crawford fight. We touched on Ugas possibly fighting Thurman. We touched on Shakur and Herring. We touched on possible Teofimo and Tank. I said, we touched on Wilder and Fury coming up in October, and then we touched on Caleb Plant versus Canelo Alvarez. And man, boxing keeps on marching, and the drum keeps on beating. Let's see we can continue to get more and more of these super fights made. That's it for now. It's your boy Rick Muhammad, Brawlers Sports Media in the building. My sidekick G Money. Remember, we still in this pandemic. We got this new Delta variant, guys. Hey, keep masking up, keep practicing social distancing, and keep your hands clean. This thing is getting worse, and ERs and respirators and all of this is like overwhelmed now. They're running out of room again in the hospitals. So this thing is kicking back up as if we're back in March 2020. Let's stay safe so we can stay alive, all right? Till next time. Let's go, champs.
Brawlers, baby.